What if one of the most compelling extraterrestrial encounters in modern history didn't happen in the United States, but in a quiet Brazilian town? And what if the truth has been hidden in plain sight for decades? This question has lingered for nearly 30 years, not in secret government files made public, not in official confessions, but in whispered testimonies, unanswered questions, and a story that refuses to disappear. This is the case known as the Varginha incident. It began on January 20th, 1996, a rainy afternoon in the city of Varginha, located in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais. At first, it was an ordinary day, until it wasn't. Three young women, Lilian and Valkyria Silva, along with their friend, Katia Andrade, were walking near a vacant lot when they noticed something unusual. Something crouched against a wall, something that immediately triggered fear. According to their testimony, the creature was short. Its skin was dark, oily, almost wet in appearance. Its head was large and disproportionate to its body, and its eyes, red, intense, and deeply unsettling. The encounter lasted only seconds, but the impact would last a lifetime. Terrified, the women ran home, convinced they had seen something that did not belong to this world. At first, their story sounded unbelievable, too strange, too impossible, but it didn't fade away. Instead, it spread. Neighbors talked. Local radio stations picked it up. Journalists began asking questions, and as attention grew, new reports emerged. Earlier that same day, several residents claimed they had seen strange lights in the sky. Others described a large object moving slowly through the clouds, cigar-shaped, silent, trailing smoke before disappearing beyond the hills surrounding the city. Coincidence or connection? As these stories surfaced, something else began to change. The atmosphere in Varginha shifted. People noticed emergency vehicles moving through the city at unusual hours. Military trucks appeared in multiple locations. Certain streets were blocked. Access was restricted. According to witnesses, unidentified cargo was transported under heavy guard. Authorities were quick to respond. They insisted everything was routine, normal military activity. Nothing unusual. But for many residents, the explanations didn't match what they were seeing. And then, the rumors escalated. Stories began circulating that not one, but multiple strange beings had been captured alive, that they were taken to medical facilities, then transferred to military bases. No official confirmation was ever given. No photographs were released. No evidence was presented to the public. Only silence. One account, however, stood out. According to later testimonies, a military police officer allegedly came into direct contact with one of the creatures during one of these operations. He reportedly captured it with his bare hands. Shortly afterward, he became seriously ill. His condition worsened rapidly. Days passed, then weeks. He died soon after. Authorities denied any connection. They dismissed the claims. But the timing and the circumstances raised disturbing questions. As public pressure increased, the Brazilian army launched an official investigation. Their conclusion was clear. There was no extraterrestrial activity. The creature sightings were said to be misidentifications, possibly animals, possibly panic, possibly media exaggeration. For skeptics, that was the end of the story. But for others, it was only the beginning. Too many witnesses remained consistent. Too many details didn't align. And too many questions were left unanswered. Over time, mainstream media moved on, but the story didn't disappear. Researchers continued investigating. Ufologists gathered testimonies. Eyewitnesses stood by their accounts. Year after year, decade after decade. They had nothing to gain. And yet, they never changed their stories. Years later, global attention returned with the release of the documentary Moment of Contact, directed by James Fox. The film revisited the events of 1996 through new interviews with eyewitnesses, doctors, military personnel, and investigators. Some claimed physical evidence had been recovered. Others suggested video recordings existed, but were never released. The documentary didn't offer definitive proof. Instead, it asked a far more unsettling question. If nothing extraordinary happened, why does this story refuse to disappear? What makes the Varginha incident so compelling isn't just the possibility of extraterrestrial life. It's the human reaction to the unknown. Fear, denial, curiosity, silence. Official explanations shifted subtly over time. Eyewitness accounts did not, and that contrast continues to fuel debate to this day. Today, Varginha has embraced its mysterious identity. Alien-themed monuments line the streets. The city has become permanently linked to one of the most debated UFO cases in history. But monuments don't answer questions. So what really happened in January of 1996? Was it a series of misunderstandings, amplified by fear and media attention? Was it a classified operation that went deeper than authorities were willing to admit? Or was it a genuine encounter with something not of this earth? Until undeniable evidence emerges, the truth remains suspended between belief and skepticism. And perhaps that is what makes the Varginha incident so disturbing. Not the idea that we are not alone, but the possibility that the truth may already be known, hidden, controlled, and never meant to be revealed. Whether you believe it or not, one thing is certain: this story is far from over.